Well, the question sometimes asked is you've spent all of your life, most of it, in the laboratory, apparently, and you're an academic social psychologist. Does this thing you produced called Simlog really have um, relevance, and is it effective in the real world, or is it a kind of toy which um, is pleasing to a social psychologist, but not really usable, or not really effective, or not really worth doing in a business organization? Well, I truly believe, and you have to recognize, and I admit that I'm prejudiced about this, but the work that I did in social psychology over many years was different from experimental social psychology of the kind you'll read about. It was more like group therapy. It was the observation, close observation, of groups of about 20 or so Harvard undergraduates, with a few graduates sprinkled in from the business school and from the education school and the Kennedy School and government and so on. So it was a variegated mix, and what I really was able to study was the kind of, or were the kinds of conflicts that arise between people because of the differences in the way they have been brought to think about social relations, or their personality, their self. And these groups had the characteristic that there was no assigned topic of discussion. They simply generated their own discussion because they weren't able to talk with each other more than a few minutes without getting into conflict. And so it was a way of studying personality conflicts. What kinds of people are there? How many kinds of differences can you reasonably recognize and think about? And what is their effect on each other? It's a little bit like chemistry, you know. You got you get 20 20 beakers full of different kinds of chemicals. You don't know what they are. And the individuals who come as those beakers of chemicals don't know what they are either. You put them all together in one mix, and well, different things happen. Sometimes it's more or less inert mixture. Sometimes it explodes. And sometimes it's very interesting, and sometimes it's dull. And you get particular conflicts between particular individuals that just occur and reoccur, and it doesn't make any difference what the ostensible topic is that the others have picked. You can just plan on these two characters getting into a tangle. And people find that they tend to act in uniform ways. Some people don't say very much, ever. Other people talk all the time, if they're permitted to do so. Some people try to be leaders and don't know how. And some of them are delighted when somebody tries to do that so that they can oppose them. So they all have kind of repertoire of ways of getting along with other people or conflicting with other people, and you get those put out in florid display. I would watch them term after term.